Oh, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chase, and today we'll be going over the mechanics of the new Invisibility Spell, as well as the best ways to use it. So let's get started. The Invisibility Spell is unlocked from the level 6 Spell Factory at Town Hall 11, and maxes out at level 4. It has a radius of about 4 tiles, just like the Poison and the Haste spells. The Invisibility Spell is unique in that it is the only spell that you can use on both your troops as well as enemy buildings. Anything in its circumference turns invisible for 4.5 seconds from when you place the spell, except for siege machines and walls. To make a unit invisible, you have to fully enclose the center of them with the spell. So for buildings, the center tile of the building must be completely covered by the spell, like this. And you can see that it will stay visible if you miss the center tile. It's the same concept for 2x2 and 4x4 buildings. You must cover the direct center, like so. For troops, you need to completely cover their shadow. It's a bit tricky for air units, as their shadow doesn't connect to their sprite, but for ground troops, you can just fully cover the spot where they touch the ground. A unit will turn invisible if they walk into the spell, and will become visible again if they exit the spell before it runs out. Units that turn invisible cannot be targeted, but can still take damage. Splash damage and traps will still hurt invisible troops, and chain damage, like E-Drags and Super Wizards, can still affect invisible buildings. Buildings that turn invisible will still attack your troops, but will retarget if that troop becomes invisible. Likewise, troops can still attack while they're invisible, but will retarget if the building becomes invisible. I know, there's a lot to unpack with this spell. Another note before we get into strategy is that the invisibility spell will not affect the wall breaker pathing. Wall breakers target the closest building that is behind a closed wall. So if you notice here, this wall breaker targets the wall in front of the wizard tower from that angle, and then the wall in front of the elixir storage from the other angle. Now if I make these buildings invisible, you can see that the targets are still the same, so you can't redirect wall breakers with the invisibility spell. And now we can get into the strategy. Invisibility spells can be used for many purposes, one of which is pathing. You can use it to direct your troops by making the next buildings they will target invisible, and then force them to retarget. In this example, I used it to get my dragons to directly target the eagle, so that they could eliminate a high-value building before it did more damage. Here I used it to path my queen into the base because she was about to walk out. I don't really recommend this, however, only if you can cover your queen as well, and then that gets her more value by having her take less damage. I believe E-Drags and other slow units will benefit greatly because you can force them to direct target buildings that would give them trouble, like air defenses and inferno towers. Another use is to give troops more time to deal damage. The most popular way I've seen this used is with the Super Wizard Blimp. You can use invisibility spells to allow the Super Wizards to stealthily take down buildings in the base. Since Super Wizards can chain multiple buildings, you can take out a large portion of the base with enough invisibility spells. I recommend using 5 Barbarians and 4 Super Wizards because the Barbs will test 4 Giant Bombs and Spring Traps before the Wizards step out of the Blimp. 2 giant bombs would actually wipe out all of your wizards immediately, which is not what you want. This blimp strategy can be used with many different attack styles like Hybrid, Dragons, Lalo, and even Yetis. Now my favorite way to use the invisibility spell is with a Sui Hero Dive. You can use it on the Royal Champion to clear some high damage buildings. In this example, I paired them with 3 Earthquake spells to bring the Inferno Towers into range of the RC ability, and to activate the Town Hall. Then I kept my RC invisible to avoid damage, and she was able to clear everything in that compartment. And what's really cool is that the skeleton trap that popped up was pointless because they turned invisible when they entered my spell, and then my Royal Champion never targeted them. You can also use these spells to redirect the RC ability. If you make defenses near the RC invisible, she'll actually throw her shield past the invisible defenses and will target the next closest buildings. This may take a bit of practice to get the hang of it, but it could be incredibly useful for taking out centralized defenses and to pair it up with a Zap Quake combo. Another use for the invisibility spell is to allow Cocaloons to get further into a base. Since traps still affect invisible troops, Cocaloons can fish out seeking air mines that are deep within the walls of the base because they won't get killed by an air defense. In Queen or RC charges, you can time the Invisibility Spell as you send in a Cocaloon, so that way the Queen isn't taking damage and the Cocaloon can pick off mines that would have targeted the healers. Just remember to catch the healers in the spell as well, because you don't want the defenses to switch off the Queen and then immediately kill the healers. And finally, you can use invisibility spells on bat and skeleton spells to eliminate core buildings. I believe the skeleton spells make a better pair because you can use them to take out the clan castle. Since you have to hit the center of buildings to make them invisible, you can drop the skeleton spell on the side of the clan castle, and then drop an invisibility spell on the skellies, but not the clan castle. Then they can kill the CC without luring it, and the surrounding defenses won't target them. Just be careful not to make the clan castle invisible because then the skeletons wouldn't even target it. I found it easier to place the perfect invisibility spell if you put the skeleton spell on the right or left side of the clan castle. 2 or 3 skeleton spells and 2 invisibility spells is enough to take out the clan castle, which is less than the old Zap Quake method. Overall, I think the invisibility spell is a wonderful addition to the game and can be used in many creative ways. I hope you all enjoyed and maybe you learned something new, and if I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and subscribe for coverage of the rest of the update coming very soon. Now go wreck some bases.